Do this for every single one of you American citizens. We burn this flag in protest to that president.
A man from North Carolina lit an American flag on fire outside of the White House gates. Police detained and arrested him. He thinks Trump's executive order infringes on freedom of speech. That order says, my administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol of our country. Now, we should mention that while Trump is the first president to use an executive order for this sort of thing, he is not the first person to pursue it. In 2006, Hillary Clinton co-sponsored a bill that used similar language and reasoning.
So I hope, Mr. President, that we can pass a law that criminalizes flag burning and desecration. I agree that this burning, this desecration that can happen to our flag is something that people have a right to ask this body to try to prohibit and prevent.
And years before that, in 1989, Congress actually passed the Flag Protection Act, making it a federal crime, and President Bush signed it into law.
I believe that the American flag is a unique and special symbol of our nation, and it should be protected from desecration. And our administration has proposed a constitutional amendment to protect the flag.
Now, the Supreme Court struck this law down, but Bush's son, George W. Bush, tried again in 2006. A vote to amend the Constitution passed the House, but failed in the Senate by just one vote. That said, many legal experts argued the Supreme Court would have probably struck that down too. But why? Why does the Supreme Court keep allowing people to burn the flag? Well, let's ask one of the conservative justices who famously ruled in favor of protecting flag burning, Antonin Scalia.
If I were king, I would not allow people to go about burning the American flag. However, we have a First Amendment which says that the right of free speech shall not be abridged, and it is addressed in particular to speech critical of the government. I mean, that was the main kind of speech that tyrants would seek to suppress. Burning a flag is a symbol that expresses an idea. I hate the government is unjust, whatever.
You see, free speech is a tough topic, and the founders knew that, which is why it is the First Amendment, and it protects all speech, even speech you don't like. The ACLU has a list called Defending Speech We Hate because they champion free speech, even when it conflicts with their values. This is an organization that nearly went bankrupt for supporting the free speech of Nazis to march through Skokie, Illinois in 1977, a town of 6,000 Holocaust survivors. Defending free speech can be nasty business. That said, there are limits, right? I mean, there are things you can't say. The courts have laid all of this out over the years. Obscenity is a good example. You can't start playing pornography on a street corner. Commercial speech, ads can't lie to promote a product. Or speech in context. You know, the government can say no loud music after 10 p.m., that sort of thing. Now, Trump's order, and for what it's worth, Clinton's bill back in the 90s, they turned to another exemption, incitement. Here's the order again, the way it's written. My administration will prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol of our country. So in other words, flag burning is banned if it incites violence or violates other laws. You know, the situation with the man from North Carolina outside of the White House is kind of an open and shut case. Now, he wasn't charged with flag burning specifically. He was charged with starting a fire in a public place. He could have really been burning anything. But when it comes to inciting violence, that can be pretty tough to prove, even using extreme examples. Now, this first came from a ruling in 1969. A KKK leader held a Klan rally in Ohio. He was arrested for this, but the Supreme Court overruled that arrest. It decided that free speech should be protected, quote, except where such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action. So even though this group carried weapons, made horrendous remarks about race and religion, it still didn't meet the court's standard for incitement. And this is the same ruling that lets the Westboro Baptist Church hold those hateful signs that say things like God sent the shooter outside the funerals for children who were killed in mass shootings. It is unsettling, but it is allowed, just like burning the flag. When most Americans see images like this, they squirm. They're offended. This feels like it should be illegal. Decades of polling confirm this, and that makes sense. The American flag represents a lot. It's our home, where many of us were raised, the country that showed the world that this experiment of a free society could not only work, but thrive. And it represents all the people who fought and died to prove it. It's July 4th, emancipation, women's suffrage, civil rights, a refuge for the tired, the poor, and the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And the knowledge that while none of those pursuits are complete, we've never stopped trying. It is the moon landing, the Super Bowl, the Rocky Mountains, small town parades, homecoming queen, and ice cream after Little League. It's the soldiers on the beaches of Normandy and the rebuilding at Ground Zero. It is a dream and a reality at the same time. It is potential. And when you see people desecrate the flag, it's not without a sense of irony, because they are burning something that stands for them. It doesn't stand for just one side of an issue. It stands for your right to be on any side. Tell me what you think about this. I know a lot of you have some pretty deep thoughts on this topic. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.